Hey guys, and welcome to a new After Effects tutorial. I'm Tony King, and in this tutorial we will be making the Arrival titles, and I'm basically going to be making something like this from the Arrival movie that came out in early in November of 2016. It's a pretty great movie. It's probably my favorite, or one of my favorite movies from 2016. I do think you should check it out. Now we will be making this from the official trailer number 1, and there's a lot of variations to this. I make 3 variations, but yeah, I don't want to play the video on this video because I'm not sure if that's legal or whatnot. So here it is. Alright, and there you have it. It's not a very complicated tutorial. It's actually pretty quick, and it can almost be a template. So I don't have the font used in Arrival. They use Gotham Light. I think that's what CNN uses as well. It's a expensive font. Well, I don't know how expensive it is. I just know you have to pay for it. Alright, so I'm just going to go through what I have here. As you can see, I have these 3 things. Get it 1/17, January 2017. That's today, January. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm gonna turn off the visibility of all these layers and start from the bottom. So of course I have my audio here, and I started off with this background. So what you can see here is I actually used a 4-color gradient effect, which I do use quite often, more than you would think. And I made 2 of the corners this pale blue color that I just think it's almost white, but it's not. And then I had this darker gray, and as you can see in the 4-color gradient effect, it's very useful as you can move around these various colors where you want them, which I find very useful in a lot of situations. And also you can change the colors, so if you want to make a cool rotation of the colors or something like that, it does look pretty awesome. I've done it before, and I did bring out 0.3 all the way to the bottom, just so that the bottom right corner is a bit darker, and so is the bottom left. Although now looking at it, the top right is pretty dark as well, but I'll just leave it like this for the sake of the tutorial, as this can be customized very well. I don't know why that's there. I don't need it. So then I made this dark gray solid, and I did luma mat it to a texture, but this is what it was. I basically made this ellipse mask and brought in the edges. So to make an ellipse mask, of course, you come up here and hit ellipse tool and double click it, and then you can resize it by moving the points. So this is basically what I did. I covered the interior of the entire mask. I didn't go off on the edges, and I did feather it quite a bit to 284, and then I just expanded it by 13. And of course I inverted it, so it's showing the outside and not the inside. Another way you could do that is by changing to subtract instead of add. But okay, next what I wanted to do, there is a texture, as you can see here, almost. You can't see it here as much as in other clips, but there's this sort of alien-y texture. Now this has nothing to do with aliens, but I thought it would work okay for this tutorial. Now, I use textures a lot, and what you may not know how to do is to actually make it work. Most of these are used in for fonts and words. For example, here we have Arrival. Let's see, it's on the bottom, so you make luma mat, and then Arrival is in that texture. But we don't want that right now, so I'm going to go back. It will automatically turn off, but you can go ahead and turn it off. Select the dark gray solid, or any solid you're doing. Go to track mats and hit luma mat. And I just called this file good enough texture, because I think it's good enough for this tutorial. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead for these three titles here. And as you can see, I have Arrival, Tony King, and After Effects. I didn't have Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, or Forrest Whitaker, sadly. Um, so I did use the font Slim Joe. I guess it was the closest thing I could come to the Gotham Light they used. So I just because this is what Slim Joe, which is a free font, looks like normally. So I did add the outline to it, and I just chose this grayish, dark grayish blue that I think matches up with this pretty well. And as you can see, it's very blurred on the actual image. So what I did for each one, I added the Gaussian blur effect. Now we don't want to make it so blurry that you can't read it like that. I just put it to 19.3. As these go pretty fast in the trailer, I made them go a bit slower just so that you can actually see the effect. So I hit U now, and it shows me all my effects. So Gaussian blur, and then a little bit over half a second is when I brought it not to 0, I brought it to 5.4. And this just adds a little bit of detail on the edges of the letters, to show them sort of coming out. You can see there is a tad bit of difference, and I just think not putting it not all the way down to 5.4, to 0, makes it look better, and I left it at 5.4. So as you can see here, I had the same effect for each layer. And so all you have to do here, and then at the end I had a pretty, well, it's almost half a second long fade out of the letters. And now you may be asking yourself, well, it's going to be quite a big deal to keyframe positions and 3D and things like that. Well, no, it's not. So what I did was first of all, toggle switches and modes. All these layers, all these text layers and null layers, as you can see, are made in 3D. And so basically, you want to create a null object. I like to make my null objects the anchor point be in the very middle. So you hit A, and I put 50 and 50. Don't worry about the 3D aspect of that. So 50 and 50, just because it's easier for me at least. I just like to do it like that. This doesn't really affect any of the effect. So what I did was, you parent these three layers, you position them where you want, and then you parent them to this null object. So all the 3D motion will be done with this null object. So as you can see here, I had them far in the back by 457, and you may be asking yourself, why is the last keyframe all the way out here on negative 150? Well, that's just because I didn't want it to stop really. I just wanted to keep going and to have sort of a more steady movement. It was just easier for the steady movement for me at least. For you, you could have just gone here and eyeballed it to 164 or whatever, or however far works best for you. So basically, then I just duplicated these layers, moved them out here, and for these, the only things I added on these was a fade in, and then the rest of it is very straightforward. And you might be asking yourself why you can't see it, but it's because I did not turn on the visibility. Sorry. So the Gaussian blur is all the same. All I did was add a fade in, and I moved the opacity back because this clip is shorter. But to move around the actual text layers is not a problem, because as you can see here, all the motion in 3D is done by the null object. I just brought forward the keyframes, and the other one goes off, out of the composition basically. So this is very good for a template sort of thing. I can move the A, I can move the Tony King, and I can move the After Effects tutorial, and it will all still work the same, as you can see. Now that looks kind of bad, so I'll move it back. But there you go. Basically, it's very simple once you get into it. Let me turn on these as well. The null object I can take off. But there you go. That's very simple. It's very useful as well. It's really almost a template. And well, yeah, that's. I don't want to rumble on for too long. I feel like I've gone too long already. So if you do like this tutorial, make sure to go like it and subscribe to my channel for more. If you have any requests, I love those requests, so comment them down below. And yeah, thanks for watching.